the Function with Purpose podcast. All things health, wellness, fitness, and education with a physical therapy perspective. I am Dr. Amy Bullock, owner and founder of Fortress Physical Therapy. Fortress PT is here to serve the Charlotte metro area by highlighting the importance of how and why physical therapy should be a part of your health and wellness lifestyle. Here we go. Season 2, Episode 1 of the FPT Function with Purpose podcast. Dr. Amy here. Hopefully everybody is well. Starting the new year 2021 off. Season 2. Wow. I think I'm going to make these seasons probably about 8 episodes long. But thanks for listening to Season 1. Hopefully I was able to provide you with some insight on some things, and if you have any future topics of discussion, definitely drop it in the comments or send a DM through the Instagram, check out the website, send me an email. Anywho, so first topic of Season 2, how to go hard at the gym the smart way. Right? Because we've all been working from home from COVID, and we are still kind of a little bit quarantined and continuing to wait for more vaccines to come out. But returning to the gym the smart way, especially when quarantine has promoted us to be more in front of a computer, right? And more stagnant. So we're not expending a lot of energy. So some aches and pains and stiffness, low back pain, poor posture. It's probably going to kick in a little bit more than what you were used to when you were actually in the office. Same thing actually went for me. I'll tell you a little bit of tidbit real quick, and then I'll get into some opinions that I think will be valuable for you to take with you when you step into the gym or kind of vamp up your volume of exercise. So when quarantine started in March 2020, I significantly had a decrease in daily movement. So, in turn, I was stagnant a lot. So, kind of quickly developed and started doing virtual physical therapy. So, it's kind of like FaceTime with my patients. And, wow. I remember going through a bout of back pain / discomfort / stiffness, which then led to my hamstrings feeling super duper tight. Like my flexibility felt like I had no flexibility at all from my waist down. So, needless to say, when I returned back to the gym atmosphere and started training a little bit better in order to develop my consistent pattern of hitting the gym, and then I would see my patients for the remainder of the day, I had to slowly get my feet wet again. So my main concern and my main focus was quality of movement over quantity of movement, or even fitness output or exertion level, right? I had to give myself some grace in order to feel optimal at the gym again. So, returning to the gym, especially when you have a desk job, your body only knows certain range of motions about their joints. Perfect example is the hip. So you're at your desk, your hips are kind of at this 90-degree angle. So is your knee and so is your ankle. But your hips primarily only know that 90-degree angle from sitting in a chair to standing or straight up, or we call that a straight line, as in 0 degrees of hip movement or a straight line, and lack thereof when you walk and the leg is more in back of you and getting ready to swing forward so your foot hits the ground. You need about 30 degrees of what we call hip extension or hip going backwards. So essentially, in all, quarantine only promotes as far as 0 or 30 degrees of hip extension, so a straight to a slight bending backwards, to 90 degrees of bending or flexion, i.e. sitting in a chair. So then you decide to hit the gym, right? Get your fitness game back on, right? Because quarantine made you more stagnant, you weren't exerting a lot of energy, you were probably eating a little bit more, right? Because you were bored, and in between Zoom calls, you were just eating and not going out for walks or, stretching, etc. So you decide to just go all in, balls to the wall, and start squatting heavy again, right? And when we squat, our goal is to get below 90 degrees of our hip angle. Or, if you envision this, some people term this ass to the grass or ass to the ground, meaning getting your hips below your kneecap level into this kind of a little bit newly range of motion, right? So for a full year, your hip has only known this 90 degrees of flexion or bending from sitting in the chair to walking, which gives you from 0 to a little bit of 30 degrees of hip bending backwards or extension. And then you decide to go into the gym and try to get Arnold Schwarzenegger style and load up those hip joints and try to break below that 90-degree angle of your hip, meaning getting up to 120 or 150 degrees of bending so that almost your knees go towards your chest. And then you feel like poo-poo the next couple days after, because the tissue that's surrounding that joint, after being at home in front of a computer for a year and sitting at the desk and knowing those range of motions, you apply a new range of motion, and then you force more force on top of that, or you load that joint more than what you expected. Perhaps pain pops up, right? So I think when you're returning to the gym, you have to not dive in neck deep into the water, but maybe dive in up to the waist. It's a good kind of a visual that I try to portray to patients. So slowly achieving fuller range of motion about your joints. And that goes for the shoulder too, right? We have computer shoulder or poor posture, rounding of the shoulders. So, you get back into handstand push-ups or perhaps throwing a football again or a baseball. Your shoulders are not going to like that. That tissue does not like that load to happen very quickly. So super important to focus on some easy range of motion about the joints. And that even goes for the elbows and wrists and knees and ankles. So this leads into having a proper warm-up. This is probably the most overlooked aspect of exercise or training or getting back into the gym. Properly warming up a movement pattern, i.e. maybe a squat, deadlift, or a bench press, so that you can feed that movement pattern some blood flow into those appropriate movements and muscles that are going to be worked for the day. So as you return to the gym, don't get back in 100%. You're eventually going to get back into 100%, but you have to give yourself that grace period. Look at what happened over the past year, 2020. Everybody's stuck at a computer. Some of us still are, right? So if you do things very drastically, yeah, you're going to get drastic results, But when it comes to your body and human movement, pain and stiffness is probably going to set in. And then you're going to probably look up Dr. Google or ask Dr. Google what to do for it instead of seeking out help from a professional like a physical therapist. So when you get back into the gym, be smart, right? Track your progress, track your response every single day you come in there. How did you feel before, during, and after your workout? 24 hours later, 48 hours later, right? You have to track how you respond. Because if pain's setting in, then you know your dosage or the movement pattern perhaps wasn't meant for you that day. So that doesn't mean put it in the closet and lock it up and don't ever look at it again. You just might have to reintroduce that movement pattern a little bit differently. Right? So if you need help with that, a physical therapist is perfectly capable of assessing proper movement patterns. So that's what I had to do, reverting back to my bout of like this low back pain or stiffness or tightness, which then led into my butt and then down into my hamstrings, into the back of my knees. Oh my gosh. I had to slowly regain my flexibility, my range of motion of my hips, focus on some back stretches. So I couldn't go all in 100% with high intensity because I knew I would suffer the consequences after. So focus on quality of movement over quantity of movement or fitness bouts. That goes for effort levels too. Proper warm-up. Warming up that pattern of movement that is scheduled for that day or whatever you program yourself that day. Trying to obtain full range of motion about your joints, especially those hips, right? We're all stuck in front of a desk. And of course, don't go all in. We know you're all in eventually, right? But it has to be sustainable over time. So get one leg in, then the next leg in, and maybe waist deep, chest deep, and then soon before you know it, all the work that you put in slowly up front adds up over time. So then you avoid those bouts of pain, those bouts of achiness. So how to go hard at the gym the smart way? Take your time and then track your response to your exercise bout. And don't forget, physical therapists are human movement, human body experts, right? We assess muscles, tendons, joints, ligaments, and basic human movement. So don't be afraid to reach out for help in order to get the best results that you're looking for. So if you're in the South Charlotte area, I would be glad to help you guys. Hit up Fortress Physical Therapy. We're located within CrossFit Pineville, the gym that I also coach at. And we'll get you on the right track to success. That's a wrap for today's episode, Function with Purpose podcast. For more information on this episode, check out the show notes within your podcast app. Be sure to subscribe, like, share, or drop your comments and questions below. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Thanks for the listen. Pursuit, precision, purpose.